Hi guys, this is Sean from PlayByPause, and today we want to talk about the A7R V. Yes, I know there's not a lot of people who like to talk about R series cameras because normally R series camera comes with a huge megapixel and these cameras come with 61 megapixels, which I believe not a lot of people would need that type of megapixel. Another thing is R series camera normally lacks of video features, which can be a pretty downside in 2022 since there's a lot of contents out there were being created for video forms. So what I'm trying to say is most people would probably pick up an A7 IV, A7S III, FX3 or even an FX30 for their cameras because of the factors that I mentioned earlier. However, the A7R V might change your mind. So let me get it straight. This is going to be my first impressions video because I do not have a lot of time to play with it. However, when I use these cameras, I really amazed with the huge upgrades in many ways, especially in the video point of view. So the A7R V basically takes out a lot of design from the A7 IV and makes it better. The top design of the camera is pretty much the standard for many generations, but they did add on a dial switch, which now your camera can switch between photos, video, NS, and Q modes. While the main dial switch, the standard settings that we used to have. It comes with a new media slots, 2 CF extract Type A. On the other sides, it comes with additional HDMI ports. The things that really excites me about is I love the new design 3.2 aspect ratio 4-axis multi-angle LCD. This is a beautiful masterpiece. It is huge, it's much practical and usable compared to the previous generations. I love the flip and tilt design. This kind of reminds me the Panasonic S1H, but it's better than that because you can completely tilt up to 90 degrees without blocking the viewfinder, which I believe the S1H might have these issues. I'm glad that Sony made this move, and I do believe they're gonna implement this type of design to their next camera, which I'm gonna be very happy with it. They also upgrade their EVF viewfinder, which now comes with 9.44 million dots. This is the best EVF in this class. I do believe the Sony A1s has the same resolutions from the A7 V, and which is great because when it compares to other camera like the A7 III or A7S III, you can really tell the difference when you pick into the viewfinders. I guess this is one of the biggest complaints I heard from the A7 III users because of the low resolutions EVF. The A7R V is pretty good in terms of autofocus. I believe most of people already know that Sony has been doing a great job in terms of autofocus, and now the A7R V have a better real-time tracking systems because now they can track the subjects without looking at the camera, facing away from the camera, or even wearing a mask. This is not possible from a previous generation, but now they are able to do so with their AI processing units. Speaking about that, the new AI processing units allows them to have deep learnings. As you can see, we have the standard human face recognitions, which I believe is pretty common these days. But check this out, the recognitions of a wider range of subjects. In addition to humans, animals, and birds, the new AI processing units makes it possible for other recognitions such as insects, cars, and airplanes. Taking photos with this camera is a wonderful experience. It's fast, it's solid. I love all the menu system and it works perfectly, I would say, except the post-process with the huge file size. Something to keep in mind, everything that I shot in this video were in HEIF or JPEG files instead of uncompressed RAW because there isn't any software are updated for the RAW files from an A7 IV yet. That's pretty unfortunate, but this is what it is. We are still not able to access the uncompressed RAW, and I'm just going to show you all the JPEGs on HEIF file. Besides, the new A7R V gives us some options for raw image. Now the lossless raw image comes with 3 different file sizes, the L, M, and S. Based on my understanding, the objective of having this feature is to ensure users to capture high quality image while using continuous burst. I think this is going to be a great features for photographers who want to maintain high quality image while have the options to choose the file size. I know this is not an uncompressed RAW, but it's not too bad if compared to the previous camera. Initially, I thought this feature is to give us the options to choose the size of megapixels while shooting uncompressed RAW. I think this is going to be a great features for many people. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, and I hope they can consider this idea for their next camera. Alright, that's pretty much the general upgrade and also photo features. Let's talk about video feature, which I'm very excited with it. So, the first thing I really want to point out is now this camera can shoot 8K. Yes, 8K. This is definitely not a new thing for Sony. Sony has been doing this 2 years ago with their Sony A1s, but this is a photo cameras. It's pretty insane that Sony add on these features to the camera that I'm holding right now, the A7R V. However, there's a few catch. You can only shoot 8K 24 and 25 frames per second, not 30 frames per second. There will be 1.2 crop factors, which is not too bad either. Besides 8K, you can shoot 4K with oversamples image from 6.2K when you're shooting 25, 24 or 30 frames per second without any crops in 4K. 4K 60 frames per second and Full HD 120 frames per second with a 1.2 crops. 1.2 crops wasn't that bad when it compares to 1.5 cropped from the A7 IV. The file format from the A7R V is pretty much the same as the A7S III, A7 IV, FX3, FX30s. You can pretty much shoot 16-bit RAW externally and also 10-bit 422 internally with the color profile of HLG, S-Log, and also SCD tones. Besides that, the A7R V also inherited some of the features from the FX30 and also A7 IV, which is the focus breathing compensation and also focus mapping. So now you can get a smooth focus breathing when you turn it on. Basically, the camera itself does a digital scale in and out to compensate the focus breathing. And as for focus mapping, it's pretty much an alternative of focus picking. Now, you can swipe the FN menu off by simply swipe up the monitor. I thought it was a pretty cool design. Anyway, you may realize that the interface is different. I love the new design. It makes so much sense and space while you're using it. Somehow it creates a very minimal design and which you're able to monitor settings while focusing on the compositions and framing. Personally, I think this is one of the top 5 things I like about this camera. Oh yeah, almost forgot. It comes with a red tail lights while you're recording. I really start to like about this feature because it feels safer. Speaking about safety, based on paper, the A7R V dissipates 5 times more heat than the previous models, thanks to the graphite material and also design. 5-axis stabilization has been a pretty common thing for most cameras. Sony has been doing an amazing job for their in-body 5-axis stabilizations, advanced gyro sensor. Now they have advanced or improved their stabilizations to 8 stops. The A7 IV and A7S III only have 5 or 5.5 stop stabilizations, and A7R V managed to step to 8 stops. Besides standard stabilization tests, I also did a low light and image quality test between the A7S III and also A7R V, just for fun. So let me know what you think about the results. Overall, I'm super impressed with this camera. It definitely packs with a lot of new things from the previous models. It has a new AI processing unit which allows deep learnings, more subject recognitions, faster, and also it packs with a lot of video features that you can get from a lot of video professionals' cameras. However, I still would suggest you to consider the FX30, FX3, A7S III if you focus a lot in video projects. But bear in mind, these cameras is amazing in video as well. It can shoot 8K, it can shoot 4K 60 frames, 30 frames per second, no problem at all. Even externally 16-bit RAW. So if you don't need a 4K 120 frames per second, Full HD 240 frames per second, or even the crazy monster low light capability like A7S III, then you could probably consider this camera as your video cameras with a 61 megapixel photo capability. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do enjoy this video, feel free to like, share, and probably subscribe our channels. And as always, create and have fun. I'll see you guys in the next video.